Yo and hello everybody. I'm Mike. That's Mike. This is Hobby Think Tank, where hopefully we make you guys think about the provocative questions of the day in the sports card hobby. Hey Mike.
Yo and hello, Mike.
I had somebody tell me, like, what are you, 7? Like when I say yo and hello. And I'm like, yeah, in my mind. You never know what people are going to say.
It's a child's hobby, so
I'll be very curious to see what people say about this video.
yeah, it's a good one.
We are going to name names. We are not
Name
going to shy away
names.
from this topic. And the topic du jour is, are hobby influencers, YouTube influencers, bad for the hobby? Or are they good for the hobby? I think it's important first to say, Mike, you're a tremendous influencer.
Oh, thank you, Mike. So are you.
No. What, obviously, we don't think of ourselves as influencers. What makes someone an influencer? That's my first question for you.
Yeah, I think it's somebody who is influencing large numbers of people. So if I get a comment that says, "Oh, you just did this, 1953 Johnston cookies video, and I just bought a card," that's not really influencing people. But if you're changing the way people behave, if you're changing the way they act in the hobby, that is influencing people, especially when you're doing it over large groups of people.
I would like to think that I'm an inspirer.
Yeah, I like that.
And if so, what's the difference in that? I have had so many people, and you probably have this too, that will message me and say, man, you've really made me enjoy the hobby by the way you talk about things. And you've made me interested in cards I never knew I'd be interested in,
Yep.
from a collecting standpoint, not necessarily from I don't want to use the other I word, investment standpoint. I want to inspire people. That's a genuine goal of my channel and my content creation, is to inspire others. It's to educate, inspire, and entertain.
I think you've succeeded.
But I don't, it's so funny because back in my day when milk was a nickel, no, but back in the olden days of sports cards and YouTube, the idea of influencing anybody was so frowned upon. I mean, if you tried to tell somebody how to hobby, you were looked at as, akin to the devil. And nobody tells anyone how to hobby, and we do your own thing. And if you're listening to anyone else and not doing it your way, you're the sucker. That whole mentality was very real, kind of back, I say back in the day, but it's true. That's how it was 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. And
Yeah,
you weren't around it. Go ahead.
I'm still a big believer in collect what you like, collect it the way you like.
Okay, so I truly believe that too. But does that mean, okay, so let's say you like something in the hobby. Let's say you like opening packs. And like I know everybody likes opening packs. I think it's a bad way to spend your hobby money.
100%.
Okay? But that's my opinion. Am I allowed to give my opinion? Am I allowed to now does that influence someone to change their behavior? Yes, no, or maybe. I don't know, but I'm certainly entitled to my opinion on. I don't think that's a great way to spend hobby dollars. I'd rather just go buy singles if you like modern stuff or whatever, right? So it's this fine line you have to walk, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough one.
And I don't necessarily like that about YouTube in general, that you're going to have some people that, yes, go, totally agree, and others going, no, I want to do it my way, whatever. And the truth is, both can be true.
Yeah. So if you're doing a lot of videos about not opening packs, you're hammering YouTube with videos about that, then I think you've become an influencer. If people are saying, "Oh, Mike Moynihan is a big believer in not opening packs," and then that's changing the way they behave. But if you say it occasionally in a video, you're expressing your opinion, I don't think that's influencer-like behavior.
I always think, when I think when I see anybody commenting anything, it's why are they saying that? What's their motivation? For example, if I was to say I don't think opening packs, I'm not trying to destroy Fanatics or Tops or anything.
Right.
I've just made a personal choice that I think that I've done it so many times. My experience tells me that's a bad way to spend a buck. And yet I still do it from time to time.
Yeah. Me too.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get the people that saying, oh, you're such a hypocrite. You don't think that's a good idea. And yet you do it. Hey, I like pissing away $20 as much as the next guy every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's certain products that I just like to open. Very few, by the way. And I think box breaks are a terrible idea. And
Awful.
yet people do them all the time, and they're not wrong to do it if that's what they enjoy. It's hard to say I don't agree with it and yet also say you're not wrong for doing it if you like it.
Yeah, box breaks are great for people who believe that the hobby is too expensive for them and that's their only entry point.
Right.
But
So
I think
let's
they're
talk about
wrong,
it.
but that's okay.
Right. 100%. All right. I'm going to name a few names and I want you to say good or bad for the hobby as I name some of these channels that would probably most people would call them influencers.
So am I allowed to give reasoning or?
Oh, of course. I
Okay.
welcome it.
Great. Let's do this.
Sports Card Radio.
I don't think Sports Card Radio is either good or bad. I think that they are wildly entertaining. They are the kind of group that punches up. If they were punching down at the little channels, then that would be bad, at the collectors. But I think that they are punching up at some of the bad actors in the hobby. Sometimes I wonder why they're taking down certain people, but I think that they are neither good nor bad, but I would lean towards good for Sports Card Radio. And I know I'm in the minority there, and I get it. I think a lot of people find them to be very negative. I get that, and that's okay.
Do you think they influence behavior in the hobby?
I don't think they influence enough behavior. They're talking to people who wouldn't be going on Golden anyway,
Right.
and buying on Golden. They are talking to people who aren't watching Sports Card Investor or Jeff Wilson's podcast or whatever he does anyway. So they are entertaining people who already hate those people and channels.
And I think that they intentionally cater to that.
Yeah, smartly.
I'm probably pretty Switzerland on Sports Card Radio myself. I don't think they're good or bad. I think some things they do are good to bring awareness to certain things within the hobby. I don't know that they break a ton of news like they're the only ones, but they certainly chime in on a whole lot of things going on.
They get a lot more eyeballs on a lot of things.
They do. Okay. So I think we're both like neutral on Sports Card Radio. But I do think they're influencers, actually. I think they influence behavior. I do agree that probably not a lot of people that are watching their stuff bid on Golden auctions or any other, platform that they are lambasting for that day. Okay. Switching total gears. Ryan, Card Collector 2. First question,
Wow.
is he an influencer and good or bad for the hobby?
Yeah, I think he is. And I haven't watched a ton of his videos, but he seems good to me. I would say he's largely good. I think he's good for kids. Kids love him, and he helps them, educates them. I would say he's, from what I've seen, good.
Okay. Have you met Ryan?
I haven't.
Crazy nice guy.
Yeah, seems like it.
And it's pretty genuine. From every interaction, I can only speak to my personal interactions. Nothing but good things to say about Ryan. And I've interviewed him multiple times. I've had him on my channel multiple times. He's always been gracious with his time, and I know he's a busy. If we think we're busy, he's on a whole nother level of busy. And you're right. The way the kids, I mean, I think kids are a great barometer for smelling out a rat, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think they would be so genuinely excited to meet him and have his stickers all over and wear his shirts if their interactions at trade nights and other places were negative. You know,
Agreed.
adults can be fooled. Kids are hard to fool. If you have kids, and I have two, you have multiple. I mean, you can't fool them especially when they're younger. It's hard to get anything past them. They're pretty savvy, and they absolutely love him. I think I would call Ryan a good influencer for the hobby because he's promoting the good things about the hobby. You know, kids buying what they want and helping trade up and do good deals and be smart about the hobby and all that kind of stuff. He's very complimentary and always seems to be helpful. Sounds like a Card Collector 2 commercial, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's just calling a spade, calling it like I see it, you know?
Yeah. And he gets a lot of eyeballs too. I don't watch a lot of his stuff because it's football or other sports I'm not into, but the handful of videos I've watched have always been good.
See, that's the funny. I like watching him go to a card show and watching how he does deals and how he negotiates. I don't watch, if he rips a box of Panini Flawless or something. I'm not going to watch that. But I like him. I think the person matters.
Yeah.
On how much you can influence.
Agreed.
If you come across as a jerk and a know-it-all and a egotistical maniac, you may get people watching you, but it's just for the train wreck effect, not, it's to watch how much they can hate on you, not because you're a positive influencer.
Yep.
And Ryan's positive. Sports card investor, Jeff Wilson. Is he an influencer and is he good or bad?
He's maybe the biggest influencer in the hobby. And I definitely lean towards negative on Sports Card Investor, just because of I don't know what started the big spike of sports card investing, but I know that he had a big part in that. Now, were his investments, the ones that he advised, good? That's questionable. But I also think that he has tried to, as the market has shifted, he has tried to shift his focus to more collecting instead of investing, which is smart. But it's also like, are you the sports card investor or are you the sports card collector?
And how do you pivot your image to where people will believe you?
Right.
I think that's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
You're kind of who you are, right?
Yep.
And I'm not even saying that's necessarily negative. It's just hard to shed that image. And then you have to ask, why is he doing this? He was this. Is it all about the buck? Is it all about, and you always wonder about motivation and whatever.
Yeah.
Have you met Jeff in person?
I haven't. He seems like a nice guy. I've got to be honest, I've watched a lot of his videos. He seems like a nice guy. Seems like a good dad. I don't think he does good for the hobby with all the investing and go pump all this stuff up.
He's a guy I want to hate.
Yeah.
And yet I've met him and he's really nice. Like,
I don't doubt it.
Genuine, authentic, all the private interactions, nothing on camera. Like if we just sitting there talking, super great guy. I think he, in the sports card world, had a learning curve and kind of learned as he went. In terms of being the most informative guy, I don't know. And that bothers me when people try to talk about, if you don't know something, just say you don't know.
Yeah.
I'll have a lot more respect for you than if you try to be something you're not, know something that you don't, and come across that way. He comes across as a know-it-all in the hobby, and he's pretty much as new, within the last few years, right?
Yeah.
And
I will say that his
sorry. No,
I will say his April Fool's videos have been pretty darn good.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's not even entertaining at times, and
Yeah.
uh, I mean, he wears it on his sleeve that he has a business, that this is a business for him,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong. But again, from my personal interactions with him, I have nothing but positive things to say. I'm not even subscribed to his channel. I don't
Oh,
watch many of his things, honestly, just because I'm not in that world. And that's the great thing is you can choose not to watch. I'm not subscribed to Sports Card Radio. I'm not subscribed to Jeff Wilson. Uh, I'll get to a few more. We'll do a couple more.
okay.
So overall, I would think Jeff Wilson has had a negative impact on the hobby, but I'm also looking at it through my hobby lens,
It's
which
true.
is as a collector. And so that's going to skew my viewpoint, right? I have a
Yep.
paradigm of how I think the hobby should be. His paradigm is very different. So there's just going to be some not conflict, but just disagreement naturally on that, right?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Um, so from my hobby worldview, he's negative. As a person and all that, positive to me. Um, and if you think if any of these people, well, we'll get to that. I'll kind of summarize things later. But all right, sports card dad Dustin,
I think Dustin's a positive.
influencer, yes or no?
I don't think he's an influencer.
Okay,
I think he aggregates the news and talks about it. But do you see him as an influencer?
no, no. I think he's just a reporter,
Yeah.
right? I
He,
mean,
he
uh,
takes the news and
gives his take
just
on it.
yep.
Yep. He's been called out many times for, he doesn't even have any cards. He has plenty of cards,
Yeah, he does.
you know, uh, he definitely is a collector. So it's just fascinating to think about. I mean, I don't know. He makes content. It feels like just to make content. But he has a lot of people that watch his stuff. I
Yep.
mean, way more subscribers than this channel has. Um, so yeah, I, I don't think Dustin's negative for the hobby
No,
because he's just
definitely not.
talking about what he thinks about the topic du jour, right?
Yep.
Okay. Jab's family.
Never watched them. Actually, I did watch one break of a Topps Gold Label Topps Gold Label box. It was like a 4-minute video, and that's the only of their videos I've ever watched in my life.
I think Jab's family is incredibly negative for the hobby.
How come?
So again, back in the day, he's been doing videos forever, for a long, long time. Has a tremendous following. I think people, if you typed in sports cards, his videos might be some of the first ones that come up on YouTube, and people will watch them. I mean, if you watch a live stream of his, he might get $1,000 to $2,000 in just you know money from people watching the stream.
Wow.
And he might have 1,000 people watching him open a 87 Topps box or whatever. Uh, I, I just think that the products that he creates, I don't watch him. I'm not subscribed to Jab's family either, but I think a lot of content consumers graduate from his kind of stuff. And quite frankly, from a lot of these guys' things, they might subscribe to him initially, and then they mature in their hobby, and they're like, okay, that's not really what I want to watch. Guys talk about cards, or I want to watch, guys that think similarly to the way I do. And I think a lot of consumers graduate and kind of progress through there. Okay, I'm ready for something else now.
Hmm.
Which leads to kind of the final conclusion of all of that. Anyone else you want to mention by name that you want to ask my opinion on?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Chris Sewell, baseball card collector, investor, dealer in that order.
Wow. Would Chris Sewell consider himself an influencer, or is he it doesn't matter what he thinks. It's is he or isn't he? No, I would not think he's an influencer.
I think he is in terms of dealing cards and pricing out how to buy a collection and things like that. And I think he has done a lot of good for people who are looking to buy collections and will pay fairly for them, knowing that if they do it right, and he has taught people how to buy a collection and how to profit from it, how to all the indirect expenses to consider. I think he's a positive influencer of dealers.
I think as a collector, since that's his first thing, baseball collector, investor, dealer in that order, I think he's more inspirational than anything.
Yeah.
Which again, it's, is there a difference? To me, there is, but I can see how people would say no to that. I think he inspires people, and you just like him, like you just listen to him and you just like him, which is why his channel is so popular.
Yeah.
He's
I
not
hate how much I
flashy.
like him.
You hate how much you like him?
He's just such a great guy.
Yeah, absolutely great guy. I'm thinking of, like, I've met every one of these people in person, including Jab's family. I've met them in person at the National one year.
And how was
So,
that?
strange. They walked up to me and asked. I didn't know who they were because he never shows his face, and it was him and his brother. And they asked, hey, are you Mike, baseball collector? And this is like 2019, so pre-pandemic, all of that. It was in Chicago. I remember because I was standing at the baseball card exchange booth. I remember, and they had a cart behind them of all this junk wax that they had bought. That they were buying for $10 a box, and they were going to sell for, $10 a pack or whatever they were going to do to make money on it. And I just remember it being a short, quick interaction. Hey, how you doing? Oh, we're Eric and John and Eric, whatever their names are. I can't even remember their first names. And it wasn't unpleasant. I just remember wanting to get away. I don't want to talk to these guys. Like, I have nothing in common with them. But it wasn't unpleasant. So who else? That was a good one. Chris Sewell.
Yeah, so the only other ones are ones I've never watched before, but I hear people talk about them. Mojo Cards, never seen a single one of his videos. Roth Cards, never seen. I was subscribed to him at one point because he had really good thumbnails, but I never once was interested in the content.
Yeah.
So I never watched any, and I unsubscribed.
Yeah, any of the business flipper type dudes.
Yeah.
No interest. Roth Cards is that he's a pretty funny guy actually in person. Mojo's I met him too. Nice. But just again, I don't have a lot in common with those guys. So we don't like hang out and talk or anything. It's like, hey, I mean, we know who each other are from YouTube, but other than that, not a whole lot of interaction with them. Don't watch their stuff. Couldn't muster an opinion on their influencer status. Cool.
Who else you got?
Well, more of as we finish up here, we're going to keep it to our 30 minutes for this episode. But, the idea of, okay, if someone from any people on this list, if they have gotten somebody excited about the hobby to whatever means and ends that is that a bad thing? I would say probably no. That's not a bad thing.
Well, if people had an entry point of, let's say, Sports Card Investor, and then they went out and they bought $500 card because Sports Card Investor says it's going to make them rich, and that $500 card quickly became $200 card, then I would say that could be a bad thing if that was their entry, if they were already excited about it and their entry point was that, and then they lost all interest because of it.
That would be true of any of us, right? Like,
sure,
nobody wants to have. Now, granted, more likely with his channel, because that's what you know what I mean? You're not going to come on my channel and, first of all, neither one of us are saying you should go buy this card. It's way undervalued. I've done a couple videos on vintage players, for example, that I thought were undervalued or
sure,
things like that. But not meant to say hey, this is my opinion. I think these are undervalued. Should you go buy them? I don't know. That's up to you. Do you like the player? Do you like the set? Whatever. Um, so yeah, it depends on the direction they lead them, right? If they're new to the hobby, we want them to stay in the hobby for the right reasons because they love it, because they love the sport, because they enjoy collecting, all of those things. If they get misled or feel like it's a scam or whatever, that's not good for the hobby long term, right?
Right.
Or I worry about the damage they might cause to other people who are making content, hopefully from a good place. Because if you go read on forums and they talk about YouTubers and stuff, man, it's just negative, 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 negative. Oh, they all suck. They're all idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm like, really? I don't know that we are all that way. You know, maybe
I
we
think
are.
I mostly follow collectors. Obviously, I watch Sports Card Radio, Sports Card Investor, but I mostly watch collector videos. That's what I'm into. That's what interests me the most.
What are your favorite kinds of videos?
My favorite kinds of videos. Wow. I want to see unique things that people are collecting, like Diamond King's autographed cards. Just seeing 1962 tops certain player, Mickey Mantle, let's say. I can see that anywhere. I
Right.
want to see unique things. I want to see interesting things. I want to learn something.
Yeah, I like some of my favorite videos are when people show how their card room is set up,
Yeah.
or how they store. I love because it's usually inspirational for me to go, oh, that's a great idea. I like getting great ideas from other people.
Yeah.
Ooh, how do they do it? I wonder. I remember a guy I follow, TJ Mack, did how he stores his graded cards. He has a huge vintage graded card collection, and I was surprised how simple it was. And yet I was like, okay, that's one way to do it. So I love watching all that stuff just to see how different people do that. I like watching vintage PSA reveals just to see how PSA is doing things
I
and
love
seeing.
PSA and SGC reveals,
Yeah,
mostly vintage, but I also like the ultra modern reveals too.
yeah. I mean, that's fun. I think certain people do them great. I don't like the slow roll on what the grade is. Just show the card.
Yeah, the thing that I don't like the most, I don't mind a slow roll as long as it's not too slow. Like Talking Ball Cards, I think does a really good job with it. But what I don't like is when,
Shout out.
yeah, paparazzi, yeah, when they spend significant amount of time talking about how bad the grade is and trying to examine the card there on camera to see where their grade went wrong. Like, we're not experts. You're not going to be able to see everything that they can.
Yeah, do that later
Yeah,
on your own time, not on my time.
yeah. I
Watching
find
you.
myself skipping, skip, skip, skip. Let's
Right.
go.
And just like you, I love watching guys uh, emote passion, whether it's something I've seen a million times or something that's unique. I kind of just gravitate towards guys that have passion and knowledge.
Yeah,
I want to learn too. I don't know everything.
yeah.
And so guys like Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards, or Eric, those back pages, I know I'm going to see something probably different, unique. John Mangini, guys like that just teach. Here, let's
Yeah,
go to school, kids.
yeah. I love Mangini's videos. I don't get to watch enough of them, but he's also very well spoken and passionate, and he just knows his stuff and has the most amazing collection. So he's got a lot going for him.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not about the money. Somebody puts on a thumbnail. I spent $20,000 at a card show. Okay. That doesn't get me going, but
I like those
you do. Okay.
sometimes.
That's okay. Again, we all have different things we like, and hopefully you guys will put down there in the comments below what you thought about our discussion, other people that you think are influencers, people, maybe even what kind of videos you like, since we got into that at the end. But would love to hear what you guys' thoughts are. That was insanely fast, by the way. 30 minutes. Super good. So any final thoughts, Mike, before we go?
I don't think so, but I'm really curious what people think about any of those that we named, as well as any that we may have forgotten.
Yeah, we didn't wasn't an all-inclusive list, but pretty fun stuff. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, Mike, for being here.
Thanks.
See you guys. Keep collecting.